Hey guys, welcome to the MTG library. I'm Ray, and today I'll be guiding you through a budget Kemba Kha Regent build. Kemba is one of my favorite commanders, partially because cats, but mostly because I've kicked some serious butt with her. Kemba is a 2/4 cat cleric for 3 mana. At the beginning of your upkeep, you create a 2/2 cat creature token for each equipment attached to her. She's a pretty straightforward commander in terms of strategy. Kemba wants equipments. And while Voltron is a viable strategy that is tried and true for Kemba, I want to look at how we could build this deck to be as budget savvy as possible. I still want the deck to be focused on getting Kemba equipped, but for the purpose of our budget, we'll be looking at alternatives to some of the more optimal choices. Alongside of this Voltron strategy, we'll also be running a cat tribal sub-theme, utilizing some of the best cats that fall within our budget to help out our commander. Let's begin with our cats. Starting us out, we have Ajani's Pridemate, who gets a 1/1 counter on him whenever we gain life, so any lifelink or life gain abilities will help this little kitty grow stronger. Healer of the Pride gives us 2 life with each creature that enters play under our control. Given Kemba will be spawning cat tokens each turn, and we have a few other cards that create tokens, we can very heavily pad our life total, and it's a great way to trigger Ajani's Pridemate. Then there's Regal Caracal. This is one of the best Lord creatures for our cats, as it gives them +1/+1 and lifelink. It also creates 2 1/1 white cats with lifelink. This is great to really start buffing up our life total, and generating 2 more cats can give us some extra blockers or additional attackers. There's also Leonin Warleader, who, whenever he attacks, gives us 2 1/1 lifelink cat tokens that are also tapped and attacking. This ability makes him one of the best token producers in the deck, aside from our general. Ajani's Sunstriker, Trained Caracal, Charmed Stray, and Sacred Cat all have lifelink. Sacred Cat, however, comes with the additional benefit of having Embalm. You can pay 1 white to exile Sacred Cat from the graveyard to create a token that's a copy of it that's also a white zombie cat with no mana cost. This is double value out of 1 card, and it's a great early game play. Enlightened Ascetic is our answer to enchantments, as it's able to wipe out pesky problems when it enters the battlefield. Felidar Guardian offers us some blink tricks by letting us momentarily exile another permanent we control and having it return to play immediately. Leonin Relic Warder acts as an Oblivion Ring-like removal for artifacts or enchantments. So if something very dangerous is removed with the Warder, we may want to prioritize keeping it safe. Oresco's Explorer acts in this deck as a budget alternative to land tax. Depending on how the turn order goes or how lucky the other players are, you have the potential to snag up some extra planes, ensuring the next few land drops go off successfully. This can be crucial in a deck such as this, as oftentimes white decks struggle to ramp up mana. Skyhunter Cub and Sunspear Shikari get buffs as long as they're equipped, making them good alternatives should Kemba be unavailable. Skyhunter Cub gets +1/+1 in flying, and Sunspear Shikari gets first strike and lifelink. Skyhunter Skirmisher has flying and double strike, 2 potent evasion abilities on this cat knight. Leonin Shikari allows us to equip our equipments at instant speed, offering us some potential combat tricks. Tajnar Swordsmith lets us pay an additional X amount of mana as it enters the battlefield, and then we can tutor out an equipment with CMC of X or less. We do have a few non-cat creature cards in this deck as well. Soul Warden, who gives us 1 life whenever another creature enters the battlefield. This includes creatures our opponents control, making it a great way to really buff up our life. Danitha Capuchin Paragon makes it so our equipment costs 1 less to cast. This can be a real asset, as the less mana we use to cast the equipments, the more we have left to equip them with. There's also Brass Squire, who can be tapped to attach an equipment we control to a creature we control without paying the mana cost. The Loyal Unicorn helps protect our attacking creatures from damage as long as we control Kemba. This also lets them remain untapped so as to be possible defenders on the crackback during our opponent's turns. Mentor of the Meek is a useful card draw engine we can use in conjunction with our cat tokens. Since every cat token is either a 1/1 or a 2/2 in this deck, it makes them prime candidates to give us a card draw off of the Mentor. Given that we're in mono white, our access to card draw is remarkably limited, and so this gives us a utility creature that addresses that shortcoming. Relic Seeker lets us tutor for an equipment card when it becomes renowned, which occurs after connecting with an opponent. OG Odric, Master Tactician, is a great card to swing in with. So long as 3 other creatures are attacking with Odric, you can control how blocking is managed during that combat. So now that we've covered some of the main components of this deck, let's go through our armory and see what equipments will be at our disposal. To remain within our budget, we obviously won't be able to include the top end equipments like Umezawa's Jite or Sword of Feast and Famine, but we have plenty of powerful options on hand. We have a few zero drop equipments that are great to drop before Kemba. That way we have some equipment presence in play before getting our commander out. A Quarter Shield and Kathar's Shield each give a buff of 3 toughness and vigilance. Explorer's Scope is a budget variant of Sword of the Animist, letting us peek at the top card of our library whenever the equipped creature attacks. If it's a land, we can drop that land into play tapped. Forebear's Blade is a nice equipment to get onto Kemba, giving her 3 power, vigilance, and trample. Should the equipped creature die, you can reattach the blade onto another creature, so this can be re-equipped with ease should Kemba die while holding it. Golem Skin Gauntlets is pretty potent given how many equipments we run in this deck, potentially giving Kemba or whichever creature we suit up a huge power boost. Hedron Blade is here as a very cheap equipment, with a nice bonus when confronting colorless creatures, making it a good include against any Eldrazi or artifact creature you encounter. Hero's Blade is a great curve into Kemba. You can drop this on turn 2 before Kemba comes out, and immediately upon casting Kemba, it can attach for free, and give +3/+2, making her a 5/6 that'll spawn a cat token upon our next upkeep. Infiltration Lens is an equipment I'm actually surprised doesn't see more play. This cheap to cast, cheap to equip card gives us 2 cards whenever the equipped creature is blocked by a creature. So this will put your opponent into a position where they have to choose whether it's more advantageous to block Kemba, giving you 2 cards, or taking commander damage and refusing you that card draw. Jousting Lance is a decent power buff while giving us first strike during our turns. The ever-useful Loxodon Warhammer gives +3/+0, lifelink, and trample, ensuring damage will be getting through and helping us pad our life total some. Prowler's Helm is an amazing equipment that might as well read equipped creature is unblockable, since the only instance we will consistently encounter wall creatures is against Arcade's the Strategist and possibly Doran. It is highly unlikely to have a defending player able to block something equipped with this. Ring of Thune gives vigilance, and as long as the equipped creature is white, it gets a +1/+1 counter at the beginning of our upkeep. And given that our entire deck is mono white, Kemba will be growing stronger and stronger every turn. Stoneforged Masterwork plays nicely into our strategy of cats and cat tokens. A creature equipped with this, while we have several cats out, will have quite the power buff, and I can get behind how cheap to cast and equip this is. Stratascythe gives a power boost based on how many planes are in play, and this includes opponents' lands. It's very unassuming, but great in a mono-colored Voltron deck such as this. Swiftfoot Boots managed to sneak in given our budget, unlike its more expensive cousin, Lightning Greaves. Giving Kemba hexproof and haste makes it a lot more threatening once we start piling on equipment. So, remember how earlier we talked about Prowler's Helm making our card essentially unblockable? Well, Whisper Silk Cloak actually makes it unblockable, and it gives it Shroud. And while at some point our redundancy on abilities might become irrelevant, we do have to find value in having extra equipments attached to Kemba for the sake of producing cat tokens. Both Evolving Wilds and Terramorphic Expanse are good to make sure we can get a shuffle and a planes. And while that may not sound too impressive in Commander, it can sometimes be good to flush away some bad draws. Karoo is here to get us 2 mana on a land as a trade-off for bouncing a plains. Mistville Plains is, well, a plains, so it can be tutored for by something like Oresco's Explorer. And finally, Rogue's Passage is a nice way to ensure Kemba can get an unblocked. Okay guys, well that's all I have for this Kemba build. The deck costs a little under $30 if you were to buy everything on my list, including the commander. I hope you guys enjoyed this tour through my budget Kemba build. The exit is to your right, and please, come again to the MTG library.